No, it's not good afternoon, guys. I'm so trained to say that. Good morning and welcome to today's candidate forum for Arlington mayoral candidates. This is presented and hosted by the Greater Arlington Chamber of Commerce. We are very excited to have you join us this morning. Before we get started with the forum portion, we would like just to hear a few words from the President and CEO of the Greater Arlington Chamber of Commerce, Mr. Michael Jacobson.
All right, thank you, Britton. I want to thank everybody who's joined us this morning. We really appreciate you being here. Who our next mayor is going to be is a critical decision that the citizens of Arlington are going to have to make. The business community really is looking for that person who can help us as we come out of COVID and we move back to some level of normalization and help us grow our economy and create the sort of environment that allow all businesses to prosper. We believe heavily that when businesses prosper, the community prospers. And that's why we have a mission of together we champion economic and community prosperity. We appreciate our candidates taking the steps to try to lead a city is greatly appreciated. It is incredibly hard work. And it takes an incredible amount of time. So people that are willing to sacrifice their time and work as hard as they're going to have to work to lead this city, I have great admiration for you and I appreciate you very much. And thank you for joining us. Britton.
Thank you so much for that introduction of all of the forum today, Michael. We appreciate you being here. Now we're going to pass it off to the VP of Public Policy here at the Greater Arlington Chamber to kind of explain our rules for the day, Mr. Bill Lynch.
Good morning and welcome to the candidates, to our chamber members and to other members of the community who tuned in this morning. We have a large field of candidates who want to become mayor of Arlington. While each candidate has a following in some part of the city, most of the candidates are new to the political scene. We're hosting this candidate showcase to give all the candidates an opportunity to introduce themselves to our members and to the community. As Britton said, the showcase in its entirety will be recorded and uploaded to our YouTube page. We will supply the link to the YouTube page to each of the candidates when it's available. The rules for the showcase were all provided to the candidates in advance, but I'd like to go over them quickly. This is a candidate showcase. It's not a debate. So we've asked the candidates to talk to the audience. This is an opportunity for the audience to get to know you and your positions. We've asked them to please not address comments to other candidates. The other candidates will be given time to state their positions, and our audience really wants to hear yours. We have 5 candidates and 2 hours, and we really would appreciate everyone sticking to the time limits. The questions will be asked in random order. Please be prepared to answer every question. The candidates may not pass over a question in order to get to one they'd prefer to answer. And each candidate was given the same list of questions in advance of the event. And I'd like to emphasize, we would never want to be rude, but candidates who go over time or violate these rules risk having the lovely Britton Merritt mute them. Now let me turn the mic back to Britton, our Vice President of Marketing, who will moderate the showcase. Britton?
Well, thank you so much for that, Bill, and we are thrilled to always hear your explanation of the rules. So I am sending you back into the attendee pool to enjoy today's showcase. So,
Bye.
Oh, I clicked on my name, not yours. I need to stay up here. So good morning again, everyone. We are thrilled that you're here with us. So we are going to kick off the candidate portion of our candidate forum. So our first candidate for today is going to be Marvin Sutton. So Marvin, let me get you promoted up here so that you can join us. Marvin, I need you to turn your video and audio on.
There we go. Hi,
There
Brittany.
we go. Good morning.
Good morning. I wish the sun was shining.
I know, but we had a really good last week. So we got to count count the blessings that we get, right?
We do.
So as Bill explained to everyone, it's our first candidate. So I'm going to do it one more time, is they have 6 minutes for their opening statement and then 12 minutes for questions. So I am going to hit start, and please give us your opening statement.
Good morning, and it's a pleasure to be with the Chamber. We have a partnership. The city has always partnered with the Chamber. My name is Marvin Sutton. I currently serve on Arlington City Council. I represent the most diverse and the largest single member district in our city. And a little about my background: I was raised in Southwest Georgia. I was raised by a single mom. I'm the youngest of 8 kids, the first to graduate from high school, the first to graduate from college. And I believe the public education is the natural equalizer. I struggled through school to say that when you have food insecurities and you don't have the basic necessities, it influences your success in school. In 2001, I graduated from Tarrant County College as a 4.0 graduate, and that lets you know what food insecurities and the assistance that you need. So it's not like I was asking for a handout. I was asking for a hand up, which builds that equity that we're talking about in the city of Arlington, which makes the biggest difference in the lives of our citizens, but in our communities as well. I currently serve on the council, like I said earlier. I've been on the council for over 22 months. I've been tested. We've had to deal with a pandemic when I first come on. We brokered the biggest deal for private-public partnerships with the 800-room hotel and a convention center. We're the future site of the National Medal of Honor Museum. We weathered the storm, as you know, and we were able to, with a forecasted $20 million shortfall in sales revenue, we're able to turn that around to $6 million by making major cuts, walking back of pay rates for our citizens, renegotiating our debt. And so we are great stewards of your money. I'm running for mayor because I believe we need to focus on neighborhood services now. We focus on entertainment, and that's great. That pays the bills, that gets us service. But now we're going to focus on neighborhood services. When I say neighborhood services, I'm talking about code, libraries, parks, recreation, fire, and police, but also infrastructure. What I will tell you is that during the snowstorm, we had over 100 water main breaks, which means we need to take a look at infrastructure. During the snowstorm, we had fire stations that were without power. We've got to focus on infrastructure, and we will do that. And as mayor, I want to make sure we provide those quality jobs coming in our city, working with the chamber, working with Texas Economic Development, working with UTA to bring that quality of life up. Because at the end of the day, if we have citizens with great income, business grows. We are able to purchase those services and goods from those businesses, which increases prosperity. So as a mayor, my goal is to rebuild the trust we used to have. 25 years ago, it was like calling your neighbor and saying, hey, I've got this issue in my community and I need some resolutions. I need some solutions. Now there's such a disconnect, it barely happens. I want to rebuild that trust and reconnect citizens with City Hall. I want to work with the business community because as an election judge for over 20 years, I've registered over 3,000 voters. And what I tell voters is, when you cast ballot button, the process doesn't end. Stay connected with the vote. And I'll give you an example of what I mean by that. So I serve on the Community Neighborhood Development Committee. That committee awards HUD funding in 3 pockets of money. One's called Community Block Development Grants. Then we have Home Partnership Grants. And then we have Emergency Solution Grants. But when we award those monies, they have a huge impact on our community, like food insecurity. So when Tannery Food Bank and Arlington Charity distributed food, we allot some of that HUD money for those projects. But not only am I at the table making the decision, I'm also out there putting food in the trunks of our citizens who have food insecurity. That's powerful because not only did I vote, but I'm connected all the way through the process. When you go vote for Marvin Sutton, stay connected, hold me accountable. Come join the town hall meetings, come to the city council, hold us accountable. Because at the end of the day, 9 people that run the entire city of over 400,000 don't know all the solutions. We depend on our citizens to help us formulate good public policies that has a meaningful impact citywide. So I'm Marvin Sutton. I want to focus on our neighborhood service and infrastructure. I want to reconnect and reintroduce you to City Hall.
Well, thank you so much for that, Marvin. And you did not go over time, so we are good. So I'm going to reset this timer for 12 minutes. So you have 12 minutes to answer 6 questions. As Bill said, they're in a random order. So we will see what piece of paper you get. So your order is 4, 6, 3, 5, 1, 2. And you
Can you
cannot.
write that down, Brittany?
Yes, 4, 6, 3, 5, 1, 2. Okay, so let's get started with question 4. Timer. What is the most important issue facing Arlington and how will you address it?
The most important issue that facing Arlington right now, and we just brought on the Unity Council. It says that we have some issues with income or economic disparity, housing disparity, health disparity. We have to address those issues and bring everybody online. Earlier, I said, when we do well, business do well. And so we have over 50 recommendations from the Unity Council that will have a major impact on the way Arlington do business moving forward. That gives us a seat at the table. We have a critical role that we play in diversity. So we're building equity throughout our system. And when that takes place, Arlington does well, our business do well, our community do well, our citizens does well.
Thank you for that answer. Moving to question 6, along the same lines. What should City Council be doing to promote and ensure equality of opportunity for all citizens in our community?
Well, the citizens play a major role. And here's what I tell people, because a lot of people are not familiar with what City Council actually do. Do we just cast a vote on the dice and that's the extent and we go home? No, there are 5 things we really do. We set our tax rates, we set ordinance, we adopt a budget, we appoint key officials, we oversee land transactions, which goes into planning and zoning. But when I say appoint key officials, we also do boards and commission. Here's where we get the citizens to give us feedback from advisory capacity. We've got to balance and diversify those selections and appointments. And we're doing that right now. And I think that adds value to what we're trying to do in Arlington. But also we're going to open an Office of Diversity. We're hiring an MWBE manager. So we will fully implement city-related recommendations from the Unity Council. So we do have that inclusion. We do have that diversity. Matter of fact, Arlington is is the 11th most diverse cities in the US. We have over 100 nationalities that call Arlington home. So what better way to do it in inclusion and diversity and help our city move forward?
Well, thank you so much for that answer. We are moving now to question 3. How do you see the mayor's role as it relates to the city manager and professional staff, and how will you approach this key responsibility?
The mayor sets the tone for the city. The mayor is the spokesperson for the city. And so you have to have a good relationship. Since I've been on the council, I've tried to bring that relationship a little bit closer, build that bond. Here's what I do. During the snowstorm, I send a text message out to all our department heads and associate department directors, asking how they're doing, just checking in to make sure they're okay. That has a huge impact at the fact that someone is willing to check on you during tough times. Not only do that during tough times, but Christmas and holidays, just check in with our staff. In addition to that, I actually provide lunch for our departments. They just don't know that Marvin Sutton is coming out, but I care about our staff. We have to build that relationship. We have to treat them like family. And I do that on a day in and day out basis. So the mayor sets the tone. And when you do that, that encourages our staff to dig deeper, to do more. And so I'm grateful for the staff we do have. They do a great job day in and day out.
Thank you, Marvin. Your next question is number 5. What do you see as the most important priority of the newly formed Economic Development Corporation?
The priority that I see is growing quality jobs. If we can't get those jobs in, business don't do well. And I can tell you that because in our underserved communities, the communities struggle. And so what I hope to do is work with and encourage our corporation, who has access to almost $17 million to do some great things in our city. And so one of those things that they are authorized to do in a project is economic development, workforce development in conjunction with higher ed institutions. Imagine the possibilities of bringing all our communities online. We won't have the problem with a workforce to affordable housing because we'll be able to get those housing at all incomes because incomes are rising. When income rise, business do better.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Moving to question number 1. What prior civic or community service activities prepare you to serve as Arlington's mayor?
So when I started out before I got elected to council, and it's really difficult to get elected to Arlington City Council. I started in 2007. I did not get elected to 2019. And it took me 12 years, but I never gave up because I've always had in my heart a passion to serve others. Even as a young kid, I served the community, elderly. I would go wash their dishes and mow their yards. And today on Facebook, you can still see that I still do the same thing. I have a passion for serving our citizens. And now that I'm serving and I see the impact and decision we make, I want to continue to serve. I want to be the spokesperson for our city. Serving has to be a calling. And so I'm called to serve. But here's what I bring to the table. We've been tested where we've weathered the pandemic, the snowstorm. We've had an economic development that we are really proud to boast. We are the future site of the National Medal of Honor, which put us on an international stage. And we're the 7th largest city in Texas. We're the 48th largest in the US. But we're also the 4th consolidated metropolitan statistical area in the United States. Arlington is the heartbeat of the Metroplex. Arlington, for the next 10 years, will decide what happens in this region and take a leadership role. That's where Arlington sits right now. But I have a degree in accounting. I've graduated with honors. I've passed the CPA exam. So I do bring some cost analysis, budget experience to the table. I do bring commitment and service to the community. I get out, I pick up trash. I actually mow lawns. I pay forward. And so I have a connection with our community because you've got to have that in order to be trusted by the people you govern. And so with that being said, the city council experience, the educational background, my commitment in the community, and also my federal experience. As an air traffic controller, I spent 30 years serving it, flying aviation. And if you've flown out of DFW, I've worked your flight. And so with that being said, the decision-making I had to make as an air traffic controller, real-time decisions, bring an asset to me as a mayor. So I do possess the qualities, the skills, the ability to execute the role of mayor day one.
Thank you so much, Martin. And your last question is number 2. How do you view the mayor's role as it relates to city council and how you approach this key responsibility?
The mayor sets the tone of the city. The mayor is a spokesperson of the city. The mayor kind of moves the agenda. He builds that coalition and consensus to get things done in the city. So the mayor is a key player, but the mayor alone can't do it. He has to build that consensus, but not only with the council. He has to do it with nonprofits. He has to do it with faith-based organizations, because alone the city cannot address all these solutions, all the problems in the city. So the mayor has to be one who pulls and unifies people for one common goal: to improve the quality of life of the community and build the city economically.
Well, thank you so much, Marvin. That is all of our questions, and you did not exceed your time. We very much appreciate you joining us today for this mayoral forum. Thank you, and good luck in the race.
Thank you so much.
Okay, everybody, that is our first candidate. As I said, Councilman Marvin Sutton. We are moving to our second candidate now for the office of mayor here in the city of Arlington. As a reminder, we have 5 of the candidates with us here today. Our next candidate is Mr. Dwayne Washington. Good morning, Dwayne.
Good morning, Britton. How are you doing today?
I am good. Your camera is up and to the right a little bit. You're looking, you're looking down at your computer. I'm just letting you
This
know.
is my computer.
Yes, we are good to go. So I'm going to set your timer here for 6 minutes. Welcome and thank you for joining us today. Please give us your 6-minute opening statement.
Thank you very much. Britt, my background is extremely diverse, which is part of the reason that I'm running. So from a business perspective, I started my first company when I was 12. So of course, I can be categorized as a serial entrepreneur. Now I own several companies as well. From a corporate perspective, I've overseen 8-figure budgets. So of course, I've got that type of experience. I've pretty much led most of the organizations that I've been a part of. Politically, I've done a lot. Probably the most notable was I was a CIO for the National NAACP in Baltimore, which actually gave me access to a seat on the Hill for about a year to be able to see our politics played out at the highest level. From a civic perspective, also served as the advisor to several different chiefs of police. So being able to see the inside of what police organizations actually do, how they operate, and being able to influence how they move forward. So huge background. From a social perspective, a lot of people know me from being the executive director and founder of the Gentlemen's Society program. We're now in 10 different countries teaching young men how to become gentlemen. So once again, a lot of different things, and it's allowed me to be in a lot of different arenas, also politically at TCC now, used to be TCJC, I was student body president there, which also gave me a seat at TJC SGA, which is a Texas-wide organization, a student government organization, which means that I was actually able to write laws into our Texas government before I could even vote. So been around a lot of different areas. One of the reasons that I decided to go ahead and run for mayor of this great city is that because of my experience in dealing with governments, not only around the country, but around the world, we get a chance to see what the end result of certain types of decisions are. And I really believe that in Arlington, we see the seed of certain types of decisions that have the ability to hurt citizens that are here and even businesses that are here. And so I'm running to make sure that we don't forget about that individual person, the one that is putting food on the table, the one that has a small business, whether it's in their house or a small business around the corner somewhere in Arlington, that we don't forget about those types of individuals. And we're making decisions to be able to make sure that they stay prosperous and that they stay in an ability to be able to feed their family, to give back to their own community and become a pillar here in our great city of Arlington. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dwayne. So thank you for, again, that opening statement. I am going to set us up for a 12-minute timer for your question portion. So let me shake this cup around. And your question order is, the normal one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we will go in that order.
Wonderful.
So let's start with question 1, which is, what prior civic or community service activities prepare you to serve as Arlington's mayor?
You know, Britton, I've served on a lot of committees. Quite honestly, I could list a long list, whether it's being part of organizations that make schools better, in some situations being a part of organizations that even make prisons better. I was actually volunteer of the year for Texas Youth Prisons here and man of the year. But quite honestly, none of those are what I would consider to be things that actually qualify me to be able to run for mayor. I think the most important quality is very simple, is my love for people. Serving as pastor of the Love Church, being in ministry for a long time, being on the ground, helping individuals. To me, that makes a bigger difference. Because once again, I've dealt with governments around the world, whether it's presidents, mayors, or whatever, and checking those boxes doesn't make you a great mayor. Doesn't make you a great city council person. It just doesn't. We've dealt with some of the worst people you can possibly imagine, and yet they've checked all of those boxes. So I think the most important thing that I possess is my love, my genuine love and care for individual people. That is what goes above and beyond anything else. So that is what I think is my biggest asset.
Well, thank you for that answer. Moving to question number 2. How do you view the mayor's role as it relates to city council, and how will you approach this key responsibility?
You know, there is a role that is etched on paper, right? There's a specific job description, and we can all go and read that. But I think beyond that, I will tell you this. I was a senior at O.D. White High School in Fort Worth, Texas, and we had a brand new the principal that came over, Mr. Walter Dansby. Some people know him now as being the ex superintendent for schools, but he came over. He was our high school principal. And I've seen firsthand the difference that one person could make. The year before, we literally had police officers in our school that were harassing us all the time. We had all types of issues and problems. The school wasn't rated that high. And in 1 year, one person was able to lift the spirits of the entire school. That the school went to state in everything, whether it's basketball or football. Our whiz quiz team went to state, and that was a direct result of his leadership. The thing that is unwritten, the thing that's unqualifiable is the ability to lead and inspire people to be their best self. So that's the thing that's not written down. But I believe that is one of the biggest things that a mayor could do, because if you're inspiring people to be their best self, you're going to build those consensus. Because of my life experience, I've been able to spend time with some of the poorest people on the face of the planet, and some of the richest people on the face of the planet, and been able to understand and traverse all of those cities. So whether I'm in a house church in the middle of Belize, or if I'm on a $30 million yacht off the coast of Miami, being able to understand and speak all of those languages and represent all of those people and inspire all of those people to be their best self and to work together to be able to make that happen. I think that is the major goal of a mayor. So whether it is inspiring businesses to do better or to work together, inspiring citizens to be able to be on their best behavior and not commit crime, or inspiring neighbors to get to know each other, or neighboring cities to be able to work together, that is a major goal of any mayor of a major metropolitan city like Arlington, Texas.
Well, thank you for that answer. Question 3 is a little similar, and it is, how do you see the mayor's role as it relates to the city manager and professional staff? How will you approach this key responsibility?
When you look at the type of government that we have, and if we looked at it on the private sector, I would look at a mayor as a CEO, and the governor, truly is the governor of the city, but the city manager as a COO. The COO is keeping the lights on, keeping everything running. The CEO is setting the vision. So if we put it in terms of lumberjacks, the COO is making sure that the trees are cut down properly, that they're efficiently, that the right trees are being cut down. The CEO is the one that says that the trees need to be cut down, or that we're in the right forest or not. So that's the way I see that organization, that the CEO is setting the tone, setting the vision. So the mayor is setting the vision for the city, and the important role of the city manager is carrying out that vision from an efficient perspective. Now, that's not to say that they don't have some type of input into that vision, but those are how I see those roles.
Thank you for that answer. Moving to question number 4. What is the most important issue facing Arlington, and how will you address it?
I think the most important thing facing Arlington is the thing that no one talks about. We always talk about the effects of it. And it's what I've been talking about the entire time. Our debt is increasing. In recent years, it's tripled. I want you to think about your own debt in your own household, or if your home debt tripled overnight, if your car debt tripled, what effects would that have on your ability to give, on your ability to be able to feed your family, on your ability to go on vacation, on your ability to help your brother-in-law when they're in trouble? Well, let's bubble that up to an entire city. And what's the effect of that? believe it or not, I can draw most of our city's current issues back down to just that. See, when you have more revenue to be able to give, when you have less debt service that you have to be able to dole out, you can do different things in your city. When we look across America and you see those cities that are debt-free, you'll see that they're able to do certain things that cities that are laden with debt cannot. So they have a cascading effect. When we look at our schools, you say, well, we have schools with a D rating. We have 50% of kids that are literally at risk. Well, walk that back. It's not the schools that are struggling. I mean, I'm in a school every single week. It's not the schools that are struggling. It's the families that are struggling, and they're sending struggling kids to school, and the schools are seeing the effect. And so handling our debt, to me, is one of the number one things that we can do, because it affects everyone else. From all the work that I've done with all the different people that are incarcerated, or about to be incarcerated, have been incarcerated, you will find that a lot of that is a direct result of economic peril. So when people, as the great philosopher Ice-T once put it, once I made my own money, I didn't want to rob anybody else. And so being able to handle our personal financial situation from a city perspective, I think will go a long way to alleviating some of the issues and problems that we have with our city. Now, it's not a silver bullet, but it's definitely one of the things that we want to look at and tackle.
Thank you for that answer. Your next question is number 5, which is, what do you see as the most important priority of the newly formed Economic Development Corporation?
So my take on this has been a little different than most politicians. I've spent a lot of time. I spent almost 30 years talking and dealing with politicians, whether it's running campaigns or advising them the whole line. And most politicians will talk about economic development from let's bring in development from the outside. I even have a lot of developer friends that make a lot of money doing just that. But I will tell you, as someone who grew up in one of those types of neighborhoods where people thought that it was necessary to bring in development from the outside, it's usually not good for the people who are currently living there. And so my view on economic development is slightly different than most. It is that you help to economically develop the people that are there. The people that are already living in those areas, for example, the east side of Arlington, and help develop them to become entrepreneurs. Those that are already doing business, to be able to help them to expand. And so the whole promote from within, from a city perspective, is what I would like to promote, so that we don't only just look at developers from the outside, from other parts of the Metroplex, other parts of the state, and other parts of the country, that we first look at our own. How can we help to inspire and develop those people that are there? And that means that we also take a longer lens, a longer view. You know, I began learning about entrepreneurship when I was in 4th grade, which is why I was able to start a business at 12. We as a city can start inspiring that, to get into early education, inspiring them to be business, to start partnering those young kids with those business owners, so they can grow up and be the moguls and the developers that are right here from Arlington. And so I would like for us to not only take a view at bringing in business from everywhere else, but it is literally growing from within. And when we talk about jobs, a lot of politicians, and I'm not talking about this race, just in general, we always talk about bringing in jobs. And I would say that more importantly than that is that we develop people to have jobs. Instead of us focus on economic development, let's focus on economic empowerment. So, you know, if an attorney builds a building next to you, if you're not an attorney, that job is not for you. So it doesn't make a difference. What you want to do is make sure that the individual people are trained in the way that they can have a job no matter where it is. They can work for a company in China. That's fine. Bring the yen back to Arlington. You know, they can work for a company in London. Bring that pound back in France. Bring the euro back here in Arlington. We've all worked outside of our city, and now with COVID, we see that from a lot of perspectives, we can work anywhere in the world from our home. So another part of economic development is developing the people that are here, so that they can be the engineers, or they can be the development moguls, or the entrepreneurs, and develop them here so that the revenue comes in. Economic development goes outside of just bringing in developers from the outside. It goes into economic empowerment of individual citizens that are already here and businesses.
Thank you for that answer. You have about 35 seconds to answer question 6, which is, what should City Council be doing to promote and ensure equality of opportunity for all citizens in our community?
It's simple. We look at companies like DFW Airport and Toyota and DISD, and we have those real policies in place that are goals from a spending perspective with MeBeWeebies. And if those goals aren't met, then those contracts are canceled. So when primes come in, they must have a sub, and that sub, they turn in a PPAR every month and they make sure that that money is there. And if they're not spending money with those subs, the contract's canceled. Simple.
Well, thank you so much for that answer. You came in just in time with 2 seconds left. Thank you so much again for joining us today, Mr. Dwayne Washington. Again, we wish you luck on your campaign, and thank you again, and have a lovely day. Okay, everyone, we are moving to our next candidate here. So the next candidate that will appear on your ballot based on the 5 that are with us today is Mr. Jim Ross. So let me find him and get him promoted. Good morning, Jim.
Good morning, Britton. How are you?
I am delightful, sir, despite the cloudy weather. I am going to set a timer for 6 minutes for you to give us your opening statement. I'll pass it off to you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Well, good morning, everybody. My name's Jim Ross, for those of y'all who don't know me. When I look at what's really important in a local government leader, I look for 3 things in somebody. I look for someone that has integrity, someone that can bring jobs, and someone that can keep our community safe. I believe our current mayor has all of those traits, and I have been a fan of Jeff Williams from day one. Unfortunately, Mayor Williams can't run anymore. And I got into this race because I was waiting for someone who I could get behind like I did Mayor Williams, and that someone never showed up. So that's why I got into the race. But let me tell you a little bit something about who I am. I grew up inner city Detroit. My dad had a 10th grade education. My mom had a high school education. I went into the Marine Corps in 1979, moved to Texas in 1983, and became an Arlington police officer. I was a part of Arlington's first full-time SWAT team. I developed Arlington's own academy and taught self-defense at the academy for years, and I spent nearly 7 years undercover buying drugs for a living. I didn't finish my undergrad till I was 35 years old. I squeezed 4 years into about 13. I went to TCJC and I went to UTA and ultimately graduated from Dallas Baptist University. And I took my retirement from the city and I paid my way through law school and finished law school in 28 months. My first 10 years of law practice, I did environmental litigation with a lady named Maren Brockovich and traveled around the country prosecuting environmental cases. Then about 11 or 12 years ago, I opened my own firm and grew it from a 1-person firm to now having over 40 people here with the firm. I have opened a restaurant where Cashrell used to be called the Mercury Chop House Arlington. We opened that a few years ago. And in spite of this wonderful pandemic that came through our country, our restaurant has continued to be able to survive, and now we're thriving again. So I am really proud of some of the things we've done in this campaign. And here's what I'm proud of. I believe in being inclusive. This is a nonpartisan race, and I don't believe in being a partisan. And some people claim to be very conservative or very liberal, and God bless them. I don't care. I love everybody. I'm the first candidate ever to receive the endorsement of all 4 police associations: the Arlington Police Association, AMPA, the African American Association, and the Hispanic Association. I'm the first candidate ever to have the endorsement of far-right individuals and organizations and far-left individuals and organizations. I am proud to be the candidate that is inclusive and brings everybody together, because that's what I think this mayor needs to do. This mayor needs to have a vision that keeps us with the momentum that was set by Mayor Jeff Williams, that can help get us to the next level, that can make our community feel valued, and that can promote Arlington to be the true American dream city. I've learned some crazy things throughout my weird life experiences. As a Marine, I learned the difference between right and wrong, and that we're stronger together than individually. As a lawyer and a business owner, I learned what it really takes to bring jobs to a community. As a father and grandfather, I've learned that the decisions we make today impact the next generation. As a philanthropist, I've learned that it's not about your accomplishments, but it's about giving back and lifting up. And that's why I've decided to run for mayor of Arlington.
Well, thank you for that opening statement, Jim. We are going to move to your question portion. So timer is set, and let's pick a set of numbers for you. So you are 216453. Okay.
Okay.
I know it doesn't really matter. Okay. So number 2 is, how do you view the mayor's role as it relates to city council, and how will you approach this key responsibility?
I think the mayor's role when it relates to city council is we are the community's voice piece. We are the elected officials. And as mayor, I need to recognize that the council members have a voice in this community for the community. And you have to be inclusive. As a mayor, you can't run city council like a dictatorship, but you also can't run city council by sitting back and doing absolutely nothing. You have to be inclusive, and you have to allow all council members to feel valued. And they are valued. They've been put in those positions by our community, and we need to hear from them and share those ideas. So I think the biggest thing a mayor can do is be the conduit for communication between our council, our community, and our city.
Thank you for that answer. Let's move to question number 1. What prior civic or community service activities prepare you to serve as Arlington's mayor?
I'm going to ruin my 12-minute thing here because I've done a little bit here in the city. First of all, we're doing this with the chamber. And I am a part of the President Leadership Council here with the chamber. I'm on the board of directors for the Chamber of Commerce. I'm on the Veterans Business Council with the Chamber of Commerce, and I've been actively involved in the chamber for many, many years. I've also been appointed to the Economic Recovery Task Force for the city of Arlington coming out of the COVID pandemic. I've been the chair of the Police Foundation here in Arlington for many, many years. I currently chair the Police Advisory Committee for the Police Foundation. What else I've been? I've served on the boards or on committees for everything from the Special Olympics, the American Heart Association, Redemption Bridge, Inspiring Hope Luncheon, the Salvation Army, the Junior League of Arlington. I am a celebrity judge every year for the best beauty pageant ever, the Miss Special Needs beauty pageant, where there are women and children with autism and all kinds of special needs that participate in that. I have been involved in all kinds of different functions throughout the years here in Arlington.
Well, thank you for that answer. We are moving to question number 6. What should City Council be doing to promote and ensure equality of opportunity for all of our citizens?
So we have recently finished the Unity Council report. 132-page report with 59 recommendations. During the last city council member, city manager Trey Elverton went over some of the things that the city is starting to do to help promote economic or equity throughout our city. I think that the city's approach to the recommendations in that and how they're rapidly trying to implement those recommendations is outstanding. I would encourage the city to continue to go on that route. Now, there are some recommendations that are outside of the city's control, but we're going to have to work with other entities such as educational facilities, medical leaders, things such as that to help implement those type of recommendations as well.
Thank you for that answer. So we are going to move to question number 4. What is the most important issue facing Arlington, and how will you address it?
Economic recovery and growth. So one of the most important issues going on is that we continue to experience some economic recovery as we're coming out of this pandemic. You know, the city has lost somewhere around $20 million, but that's not even touching what all of our local businesses has lost. As a restaurant owner, as a business owner that employs nearly 100 people collectively, I know firsthand what it feels like to experience those type of losses. We had businesses shut down. We've had businesses that have yet to recover from the pandemic. So the first priority is to economically recover from the pandemic and keep that growth going. I'm going to have some things available if I'm elected mayor that Mayor Williams hasn't had available. And I know I'm going to sort of get into another question, but one of those things is starting in June, we're going to be funding our Economic Development Corporation. And those monies are going to be available to the new mayor, unlike it's ever been before. And we need to really focus on those monies and how we can get up and running again.
Well, conveniently, that is the next question. So question number 5, Jim, is what do you see as the most important priority of the newly formed Economic Development Corporation?
So Arlington has done really, really well at promoting our entertainment district. And we have the new Globe Life Field and AT&T, and we still have Globe Life Park there, and Texas Live and Six Flags. And we've done great there. But when you're mayor for 6 years, you can only get so much accomplished. And even Mayor Williams will tell you he'd love to see us start being able to shift to put more focus on small business development. And I think that's really where it's at. The type of business that people can make a living on and raise families on and really give back to the community with. So I'd love to see our Economic Development Corporation really focus on small business growth, whether that means bringing new business in and enticing new business to come in, or whether that means helping existing business with their continued development on things. That's where I'd like to see it. But we need to be careful on doing that and make sure we put protocols in place that ensure that our city is properly diversified when it comes to the business growth. And that when we look at some of the information we received with our Unity Council report, that when we have a 23% African-American community and 1% of our businesses are owned by African-Americans, there's a disparity there. And we need to make sure that we try to balance that as best we can.
Well, thank you for that answer. And we are moving to our last question, number 3. How do you see the mayor's role as it relates to the city manager and professional staff, and how will you approach this key responsibility?
Arlington is blessed. I'm a believer that Trey Elverton is one of the absolute best city managers anywhere in this country. The guy has a business mind like none other. The mayor's role when it relates to the city is giving the proper guidance to say, here's what our community is really wanting to do. Here's where our focus should be. And the city's job then, Trey's job and the city leaders in there, is to implement those things and to run the day-to-day operations of the city. The key thing to making that relationship work is communication. You know, everything we do gives us some type of reward, but the best reward we can get when everything is said and done are what our relationships like with everybody else. And the true measure of a successful leader is one that has quality relationships. One of the reasons why Arlington has done well is because of Mayor Williams' relationships with the community, with business leaders, and with city management. I want to have similar type of relationships. I want to have that open conduit of communication. Without that, we're going to miss out completely.
Well, thank you for all those answers. That is all of your questions. So I'm going to go ahead and cancel this timer. Thank you again for joining us today, Jim, and good luck on the campaign.
Thank you, Britton. Take care.
Okay, everybody, we are moving on to our next candidate. This is number 4 of the 5 we have joining us today here for the Greater Arlington Chamber of Commerce Candidate Forum for Arlington Mayor. Our next candidate is Mr. Michael Gillaspie. So let me find him and get him promoted.
All right, how we doing?
I am delightful. Michael, how are you this morning?
So far, so good. So far, so good. Great day so far.
Awesome. Okay, I'm going to set this timer for 6 minutes, and please kick us off with your opening statement.
Okay, first of all, Britton, it's a pleasure being with you this morning. I want to thank the Greater Arlington Chamber for providing such an opportunity for us to share with the public our perspectives on why we want to be mayor and the difference we think we can make in being mayor. Just a little background, and then I'll share with why I'm running for mayor. I'm a native Texan. I was born and brought up in East Texas, and graduated from high school in Tyler, Texas, and went to the University of Texas at Austin. Had an opportunity to begin to really develop as a person, get a better idea of who I am, what I'm about. And as I was moving along, I had an encounter with our dear uncle, Uncle Sam, and was drafted into the Army and ended up going to Vietnam. So I'm a decorated Vietnam combat veteran. It's strange how things happen in your life that appear to be a burden at that particular time that can really turn out to be a blessing. Because when I got back, I had the GI Bill and was able to finish funding my education. And then I had the best thing to happen to me in life. I met my lovely wife, Janice, with whom I've been married for 46 years. And it's just been a tremendous blessing. After finishing UT, I started working for IBM. I had a successful career there, which in turn gave me the opportunity to move here to the Metroplex. And in the process of trying to identify where we wanted to live, there were some things my wife and I took a close look at and analyzed. And when we looked at Arlington relative to the rest of the Metroplex, it kept bubbling up to the top of those things that we should be, that we wanted for our family. And now that we have tagged Arlington the American Dream City, basically what it boiled down to, we had dreams, things that we would like to accomplish. We wanted to take care of our family, wanted to be able to raise our children, get them a good education, and we were able to do all of those things. During the course of that, my children were in school, and I was invited to participate in a facility study, spending a year taking a look at the facilities of Arlington Independent School District to identify where there might be challenges or areas that we want to improve and enhance. And in fact, I chaired the Information Technology Committee for that. And at the end of that year, we put together a recommendation that turned into a bond issue to help increase the resources that we had for our children in Arlington Independent School District. And along the way, a number of people indicated they were impressed with how I carried myself, how committed and involved I was with everything. So they asked me to run for school board, which I did, and was elected to school board in which I spent a number of years assuring that every kid in our district had the best possible opportunity to develop themselves so they could step into the future they will follow. Toward the end of that, a number of people asked me about the possibility of running for city council, which I did. And eventually I was elected to city council, in which I spent 7 years. Last year, I was mayor pro tem, so I had a chance to look very closely at what was going on in the city. Along the way, I've been involved with community organizations. I've been chair of the hospital board, on the Memorial Hospital Board. I've been on the Tarrant Appraisal District Board. I've been on the Senior Citizen Services Board of Tarrant County. I've been in the United Way of Tarrant County. So I've just been heavily involved in the community. And to me, the most precious investment you can make is your time and commitment to a particular organization or place. And I just love Arlington and want to do all I can to make sure that it is the absolute best place for everyone to enjoy a top quality of life. As to why I'm running for mayor, when I take under consideration the experience I have, the commitment I have to the city, the fact that I've been committed to the city, I've been committed to our children, I've been committed to our county, I've been committed to so much in our community. That experience, I feel, is something I could take into the mayor's office and allow us to continue to be the American Dream City.
Well, thank you so much for that opening statement. You did not use your full 6 minutes, so let me just get this timer reset to 12. So as you know, our next segment is going to be questions. So your question order is 5, 3, 1, 2, 6, 4. Okay, so your first question, as we get started, timer set, is what do you see as the most important priority of the newly formed Economic Development Corporation?
Okay, I think the most important, the Economic Development Corporation by state law is supposed to recruit businesses that can create jobs in our city. We have to make sure that that's an internal as well as an external focus. We need to make sure that the businesses that we have here are getting all that they need so they can continue to grow and thrive and deliver to our community the products and services that we need, as well as when opportunities present themselves for businesses outside that may want to become a part of our city, position themselves so they have the right resources. And we need to make sure that they are partnering with the entirety of our community. Like, we can't lose sight of the fact we have such a jewel in the University of Texas at Arlington, and we need to work very closely with them so that we can make sure that any business that might be interested in coming can see that we have this unique resource that can provide pretty much anything they need, whether they want to do innovative experiments, whether they need a technical workforce, whatever it is that they need. Jewels such as UT Arlington can provide that. So the Economic Development Corporation needs to be in tune with all of those to assure that they can bring the best jobs in as well as develop the best jobs in Arlington.
Thank you for that answer. We are moving to question number 3, which is how do you see the mayor's role as it relates to the city manager and professional staff, and how will you approach this key responsibility?
To me, the city manager and the staff, the professional staff, their responsibility is to implement the vision that we have for our city. It's incumbent upon the mayor and the council to be very in tune with our community in turn, so we can understand what people are, the things they really need, and then define a clear vision for Trey Yelverton and his staff. And the wonderful thing is Trey is uniquely gifted to be able to understand those things that need to be done and transform them into tasks that actually deliver the things that need to happen. So the bottom line on it to me is that it's incumbent upon the mayor to be able to interact with the professional staff to assure that they understand clearly what the vision of the city is, and then monitor that as they move along and make whatever adjustments are necessary.
Thank you for that answer. We are moving to question number 1 now, which is what prior civic or community service activities prepare you to serve for Arlington's mayor?
Well, as I mentioned in the introduction, I've been on the school board, so I have a sense of how the governance of the school district and the things that need to be done to help continue to provide our students the best possible education. Oh, by the way, I was also an executive director of a charter school. So I've had both from a leadership visionary standpoint and also from a practical day-to-day standpoint, how to deal with education. I've been on the hospital board, as I mentioned, so I have a sense of how to deal with health issues, particularly when you take under consideration what we're going through now. I've been on, as I mentioned, the city council. I've been on the TAD appraisal district board, so I have some sense of the county and the issues that they are dealing with. So that wide variety, not only of understanding governance of all these different organizations, but I've been so involved in the community with other organizations and groups, so that I have a great sense of what needs are, as well as how we might go about pulling everyone together so we can address them.
Thank you for that answer. Now, next question is question number 2, which is how do you view the mayor's role as it relates to city council, and how will you approach this key responsibility?
The mayor is sort of the, I guess the voice, the voice that the public sees, the one who interacts most with the public, and his role is to assure that he or she has worked very closely with council to define the vision that we've heard from our people. And we need to make sure we're well connected with the community. And then we should be in a position where everyone's position can be clearly heard. And then it's incumbent upon the mayor to work very closely with the council to come to a consensus. The mayor is a key facilitator. And then he is the person who goes forth to share and whatever this vision that we've come up with the community, and assure, of course, that Trey Yelverton and our professionals understand where we're going. So it's incumbent. And in fact, to me, I look at the council and mayor, and particularly Trey, as sort of a team of 10, where we all work together to assure that those things that we hear relative to what the American dream city, our citizens want, come about.
Thank you for that answer. We are now moving to question number 6, which is what should City Council be doing to promote and ensure equality and opportunity for all citizens in our city?
It's been mentioned several times, this Unity Council report that was given. I was very fortunate to be a part of that Unity Council, where we actually went through to define inequities in certain areas and how we can best go about addressing those. There were 5 key areas that were looked into: housing, economic disparity, education, health and wellness, and policing. And that was after we looked at the whole thing and realized we needed to define areas that we could get into so that we could come up with meaningful responses of how those can be addressed. So those recommendations that have been given, the council and Trey have accepted, and they're in the process now begin to define the tasks necessary to bring those about. As those begin to unfold and as we begin to implement those, 2 things will happen. One, we'll have a more community-wide embrace of everything. Plus, we will have definitive actions that can begin to bring those things about that are necessary so we can have the equity that we'd like to have in our communities. And by the way, as long as this kind of, to me, is in a unique position, we have an opportunity to really define what a great American city should be all about, including the inclusiveness of our diversity, as well as opening opportunities for everyone.
Well, thank you for that answer. We are going to move to your last question, which is, what is the most important issue facing Arlington and how will you address it?
I think the most important issue we have to know around is this pandemic. We have to get this thing under control and out of our way, which in turn will put us in a position where we can really accelerate a economic recovery. We need to make sure that we have good jobs and that we have a thriving economy that everyone can take advantage of. And so my focus would be assuring that the resources, all the resources we can define that will help us, first of all, get rid of the pandemic, and then provide whatever assistance our businesses need in order for them to begin to recover and get back on their feet, are put in place. And we need to work collectively as a community so we can help everyone and get ourselves really going. And just sort of an aside, we need to assure that we are becoming more and more of an inclusive community.
Well, thank you for your time today, and we appreciate you joining us, Michael, and we wish you the best of luck on your campaign. Have a great day.
Well, Britton, thank you so very much for this opportunity in the Greater Chamber. Take care.
You as well. Okay, everybody, we are on to our last candidate. So that is with us today. We had 5 total join us. So our 5th candidate today is Mr. Kelly Burke. So let me find him and get him promoted. Good morning, Kelly.
Okay, good morning. How you doing?
I am good.
I pronounced that right, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Like the country, but not really. So
I like
welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm going to set
Yes,
this
ma'am.
timer for 6 minutes and kick us off with your opening statement.
Okay, great. First, again, thank you for being the moderator for this Zoom candidate forum. And thank you to Arlington Chamber of Commerce for hosting this to get the information out about all the candidates and our love for this great city. So yes, again, my name is Kelly Burke. I don't even know what direction to look on my camera. Anyways, a husband of 10 years of my beautiful wife, Lois Burke, father of 4 children, Harmony Burke, Kelly Burke, Abigail, and Liliana. And this is my world. My family's my world, they're my life. And I believe it's the backbone of every strong, great economy that's built off of families. So let me just say that first. And so I display family, I display family values, characteristics, and traits of what the American dream family was, because I believe that the American dream was based off of family. So from that, business owner, my wife and I co-own Miss Burke's Christian Academy, which is a daycare. We also have a school curriculum there. So we educate children there as well. We just reached, it's funny because in the beginning of the campaign, I kept saying we have 70 kids. I'm talking to my wife Friday night. We just broke 90 kids at our academy. So things are looking good, and God is definitely blessing this business and our pursuits to serve the community through child care and child development. Also am a fitness nut. So my background is health, fitness, and nutrition. I've been working in this industry for 15 years. I own a gym that is named after myself, KRB Fitness. So it's my initials, Kelly Rashad Burke. I am in my 6th year of business here at the gym as well. So entrepreneur, business owner, husband, father, and I'm just a normal guy that's in love with the city of Arlington, Texas, and what it's offered me. I believe that Arlington has been the land of milk and honey, like the Bible says, it's the land that was full of opportunity. And when I came here, it allowed me literally to spread my wings and see life through a different lens. And a lot of the dreams and visions that I had for myself and my family, which I didn't have a family at the time, they all came true in this city. The reason I'm running for this position as the mayor is because I want to be able to display these things in the city. I think that we need to continue to carry that lineage, that legacy through the city of Arlington, where these values are displayed: family, God, community, fellowship. And I think that these things are the most important things to me, and people. I am a people person. I love people. It's a people first movement. My campaign has been based solely off of going out and meeting the hearts of the people where they are and hearing from them. I'm just a normal guy. I'm nobody special by any stretch of the imagination. I'm just a God-sent man that's on a mission to spread the love of God through the political spectrum and fight for a city that I believe that God is hovering over. I believe that he's protecting us. He's been protecting us. He's been guiding us and seeing us through. And these are some of the values that I want to fight for this city. And because I love it so much, it's only befitting that I fight to be in position for leadership of it.
Well, thank you so much for that opening statement.
Yes, ma'am.
We are excited that you are here. Let me get my timer set to 12 minutes for the question portion, and your order is going to be, if I can open the paper, 642-135. So let's get started. So question number 6 is, what should City Council be doing to promote and ensure equality of opportunity for all citizens in our community?
Great. I think the main thing is, I think the City Council, the structure of how it's set up is perfect. Allowing people to come into the City Council meeting, express their opinions and their views on how they feel the city should be ran, or what they see the weaknesses, or what we see our strengths are, and what we should play off of them. The thing that I am most concerned with is actually putting these things in place. So when we hear from the citizens of the city, my main concern would be that we actually act on those things. Because in the past, there have been issues that have been addressed by the citizens of the city as a whole, collectively, that they did not agree with. And sometimes the council is going to other directions. So that's one thing that I would want to make sure that we do moving forward. This new, whoever's elected, is that they ensure that the people are first. If the people want something that's in line with the law, in line with city ordinances, then that's what we give them, because this city belongs to them. The city doesn't belong to a governing body. The governing body is the face, they're the voice that moves the whistles and move the dial behind the scene, but the people are actually who the city belongs to. So that's what I believe should be done.
Well, thank you for that answer. We are going to move now to question number 4. What is the most important issue facing Arlington, and how will you address it?
Yes, ma'am. I think one of the most important issues, or at least to me, is how our money is being spent here. In the past, we've had some money being spent in some ways that some people weren't particularly happy with. And so that's one thing that I would ensure, is that we will make sure that when we do spend large amounts of money, that everybody agrees with that. That's what the people want. I'm just all for being a penny pincher when it comes to running a city, and making sure that we are spending the least amount of money as possible, in order to ensure that the city has an overflow, an abundance of money, because we fund the city. And so we want to make sure that taxpayer dollars are being looked over and managed with a good steward's heart. And so I think that would be the most important thing, is taxes and how the money is spent for the city.
Well, thank you again. We are now going to move to question number 2, which is, what do you view the mayor's role? How do you view the mayor's role as it relates to City Council? And how will you approach this key responsibility?
Yes, ma'am. I think the mayor's role in the City Council is they are one. I look at them as one unit, although the mayor is to be the strongest voice, or the voice of the community, which the person that everybody sees and should know. But him and the City Council, or her and the City Council, work as one unit. They work as one governing body. So when decisions are made, it goes to the City Council, to the mayor. He's actually a City Council member. He just sits at the top of the council, but he's just one of them. And so I think that the role of the mayor and the City Council is they govern, they decide, and they vote together. And if we know from the majority of the vote doesn't go one direction, then the other side wins that. But they still are seen as one. The mayor is just the face of the governing body, or the voice speaking for the City Council as a whole.
Thank you for that. And now our next question is number 1. What prior civic or community service activities prepare you to serve as Arlington's mayor?
Yes, ma'am. I have spent my civic duty and my time in the church. That is where I've got my start. That's where I've done the majority of my work. And I know some people look at that and say, "Well, you haven't done anything." And if you've been spending time in the, working for God in a sense, but I believe that the church is the rock of any city, especially when we're talking about Texas in the South. We are in the Bible Belt. So the church has been, along with the family, has been the backbone of our economies and our cities and our state to move us in the right direction. And so I've learned a lot about leadership and servanthood through the church. And so I consider myself a servant leader because I've served people through the church, and I've served them selflessly. Like, you literally have to be able to put yourself on the back burner to sit at the feet of a pastor, to sit at the feet of more seasoned people, more seasoned saints, and be able to go out into the community and display this love and display this knowledge and this awareness of what it means to be a Christian and what it means to be a proud citizen of the city and this country. And so that's where I've got my start, and that's how I've learned to serve, and I've taken this through my life. And so the reason I haven't joined any boards or served on any other community organization is because originally I felt that I was being selfish, honestly, because you want to focus on, when you're in the church, you want to make sure that your main focus is on serving the people. And so it's like, I didn't want to be selfish by saying, "Hey, look at me, I'm on this board now. Hey, look at me, I'm doing this now. And now I'm serving the community, take a picture of me. And now I'm over here doing this, feeding the homeless, take a picture of me." And so I never wanted to be in the forefront of saying that this is an organization I'm a part of, instead of just going out and actually doing the work. And so I've always been the kind of man that has went out and done the work behind the scenes without having my name on anything. Hey, when I give my tithes to church, I don't put my name on the envelope. I'm that kind of guy because I don't want to have an accolade for what I'm giving to God or what I'm giving to do my service. Like, it comes from the heart. I mean, I believe that that's what real servitude is. So I know it may look bad with some people, but that's how I view it. And it's good looking.
Well, we do appreciate that answer, so thank you. We are moving on to question number 3, which is, how do you see the mayor's role as it relates to the city manager and professional staff, and how will you approach this key responsibility?
Yeah, it's the same way as the city council. I mean, everybody is, they're all a team. The mayor has to hear from the people that are on the staff. The mayor has to hear from the city manager. The city manager has a very important job. He is a very busy guy. So the mayor and the city manager work hand in hand on everything that happens in the city. But the city manager is actually the boots on the ground. So he has to go out and actually put it into play. And he's bringing information to the mayor and saying that, "Hey, this is what we want to do. This is what we're thinking about doing. This is what development is going to happen." And so he's the one that actually brings everything to the forefront, and it's voted on, and it goes from there. So if I'm elected, I would continue to do that same work. It's working with the city manager, working with the staff, working with the city council, and really focusing on bringing us all together and being one to make the city function in a pristine way. Also, making sure that everyone that wants to be involved in the city knows who everyone is in position. Making sure that they know who the city manager is, making sure that they know who all the councilmen are, making sure they know who are the faces that are in the government. And this could be included in monthly meeting greets. It could be included in more videos, hearing these people speak and giving the heart that they would, and things of that nature, where we're just educating and making sure that people know the faces. So when you see that person in the grocery store, you can go up to them and hug them and thank them, or tell them, "Hey, we think you're doing a horrible job." But I think that we don't need to hide behind the scenes in these positions, and people need to know exactly who we are. I want Arlington's politics and local government to be on the forefront of our city.
Thank you. And moving to your last question, number 5, what do you see as the most important priority of the newly formed Economic Development Corporation?
I think the most important job, in a sense, that I would say, is to ensure the success of local small businesses, because I believe that they are the backbone of the city. So when it comes to economic development, I would want to make sure that we are fully backing them and making sure that we can continue to see the success from our businesses here, and making sure that they're first before we look at doing anything else, any major development, that we make sure that our local businesses are up to par and are moving in the right direction to grow, if that's what they want to do. And the people that are inquiring and wanting to get into business here to continue to move our economy, that we have something in place that we can begin to, get those things rolling for them. I would like to have a department that focuses solely on, business. And somebody could go to this department and literally get all the tools and access that they needed in order to get on the right track to start a business. Same process as you would go through if you're buying a home. When you buy a home, they say, okay, it's going to take us, 3 to 6 months to do, et cetera, et cetera. We're going to watch your credit for this amount of time. And we're going to, I would like to see the same process for business from this city. And so it's not as easy as, some people make it seem, but some people that are, from ethnic backgrounds like myself could be in the dark. And so we want to make sure that these people have the right amount of resources, right amount of education, and they know exactly what it takes and what they need. And so when I think of economic development, that's what I think of. I think of a normal man that's looking to start business to make the city more successful than what it is.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Kelly. We very much appreciate it, and we wish you the best of luck on the campaign.
Thank you so much, Brittany.
Have a great day.
You too.
And thank you to everyone who joined us today for this event. This is our last candidate forum, and this is again for Arlington Mayor. We will make this link available via YouTube. We will provide it to the candidates first and then share it with each of you. Also, please keep in mind early voting starts next week, everyone, and the official election day is May 1st. Your voice is important no matter who you vote for, so make sure that you make your voice heard and educate yourself by doing things like attending forums like this. Thank you again for your continued support of the Greater Arlington Chamber of Commerce. We hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.